Okay, we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn they publish, we perish.
And in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how's it going?
I'm great. I'm excellent. You know what? I'm not great, you guys. Listen.
Yeah.
Corey,
how are
no, Scott, you don't even care. You don't even want to hear why I'm not good.
I want to hear why I'm not great.
I'm sorry. That was insensitive of me.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I appreciate and accept your apology. I look good.
What's going on, Paul?
I look good, right? I look all right.
Yeah, sure.
But
yeah, you're very casual.
I feel like I weigh too much. I feel like I should lose some weight.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like I looked at the scale this morning. I could lose 5 pounds just like that.
You could fast this weekend and lose 5 pounds.
Yeah, Paul, you look good.
Well, that's I just feel a little,
You look good.
Thank you.
All right, don't go to any extreme measures, Paul.
Well, it's 5 pounds. It's not. I'm not saying anything extreme. I'm not. You're not going to have to make another podcast where you then try to find out where I've gone after I've lost a bunch of weight, started a multi-million-dollar weight loss company over 40 years, and then you're going to make a podcast where you can make Audible money on advertising, talking about that you miss me and you're trying to find me.
But the good news is, Paul, it looks like you're going to be able to keep your health care for a while.
Yay!
Mm-hmm. Yeah! Yay!
On the scale of incompetence and malice, the Trump administration and Republican Party has once again whiffed into the side of incompetence.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you can't count on them for anything else, I think you can pretty much count on them for incompetence.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Republican Party at this point is Starscream from Transformers, where they really want to do... They constantly want to do the most evil thing, but they're dumber than hell.
And they always want to be in control. They think they know better
than Megatron.
Megatron. Oh, that's such a good analogy. That might be the best analogy I've heard, Paul.
Thank you. Well, that's what you come here for, folks. Missing Richard
Paul's analogies
and Starscream. Corey, how are you doing?
Have you? Yeah, Corey.
I'm just great. I'm great. I'm very excited about this episode because I'm a big Mason Adams fan. That's Mason Adams.
Oh, he looked very familiar. Has the guest star, the Professor Rhodes, in this episode? Who is he?
Lou Grant. He was the boss on Lou Grant, the entire run on Lou Grant.
Now, what is that? What is Lou Grant?
Lou Grant was the spinoff from the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Mary Tyler Moore.
When Ed Asner went from doing a character in a half-hour sitcom to then taking that character and expanding it and doing a 1-hour drama with the same character.
That's so crazy. And what was because I never watched it. What was the premise of it?
That's nuts.
When he was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Lou Grant was the head of a newsroom in a local television station. And then he became the editor-in-chief of the Los Angeles Examiner. So he went to real publishing. It was about newspaper.
Was it a very episodic show where it was like every week it's a new story that they're breaking type thing?
There would be arcs on the show. There'd be 2 and 3 week arcs, but Mason Adams was his editor, not the owner of the paper. The owner was the wonderful actress Nancy Marchand, who later played Tony Soprano's mom while she was dying. That was the owner of the Los Angeles paper, and he was the publisher, was Mason Adams, and Lou Grant was the editor-in-chief.
That's amazing. How long did it run? Was it a long-running show?
It ran maybe 5 or 6 years. It ran a good long time.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And Mason Adams also was the voice of, and he may have been the face of, too, of a major supermarket chain out here in Southern California when I first moved out here. It may have been like Stater Brothers or Albertson, one of the chains that no longer exists. But there was a major grocery chain he was the voice and face of on all of their local commercials out here in LA.
That's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird that they would take a comedic character and then transform it into an hour-long drama. That's like completely unheard of today. That'd be like if you took Joey from Friends and gave him an hour-long drama.
There's not a lot
He's like a struggling actor in Los Angeles.
I mean, I think it's amazing that Fraser Crane went 20 years consecutively on television in 2 different shows. But for Lou Grant to do it, it's the only time it's ever been done going from half hour to hour. You know, they've done hour to hour with the Richard Belzer character from Homicide, then went to Law and Order.
Oh, wow.
Well, that and Frasier both seem to make sense. The character you established is just in a different situation. But with Lou Grant, it's a completely different genre.
But except the example I just gave with Richard Belzer, the unusual thing with that one is he went from a cop created by one team of people to being a cop in a totally different creation. So at least Frasier had the same creator.
Yeah.
Lou Grant and Mary Tyler Moore had the same creators. The Richard Belzer one, he went from Homicide, which was created by David Simon, who did The Wire, and then he went to Law and Order, which is a Dick Wolf show. So what happened was Homicide got canceled. They had done a crossover episode, you know, courtesy of NBC, and Homicide got canceled, and Dick Wolf went to NBC and went to David Simon and said, hey, if you guys are canceling the show, can I steal this character? Can I just take the character and transfer him from the police department in Baltimore to the police department in New York? And they did, and he went another like 10 or 15 years playing the same character on a completely different show.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that was done more today. That would make for some really interesting television. Just other creators taking other. It would be really kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
See that, folks? You come to Quality Time with Family Ties to get the Richard Simmons and Starscream jokes, and you learn about interesting crossover characters across multiple genres, concepts, and TV shows. This show has everything.
It does. It really does. Well, let's get into it, guys. So if you're playing at home, we are in Season 5, Episode 11, Paper Lion. Now, both of you guys, Paul, you looked into what Paper Lion meant, and Corey, you know about the book. What is Paper Lion, and how does it refer to this episode?
Don't know how it relates. Like, I don't understand most of the relationships that Gary David Goldberg gives his titles. But the book written by George Plimpton. George Plimpton was this very, very erudite. He had quite the affectation. He almost sounded British, but he was American. And what he did was he put himself in careers that he didn't have and then wrote books about it. So one of the careers that he put himself in was playing for the Detroit Lions in the NFL. He spent a year trailing the professional football team, the Detroit Lions, and wrote a book called Paper Lion.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's really strange because, there's no reason. I thought that's why I looked it up, Corey. I thought that by using Paper Lion, that it was some sort of like academic expression or something.
No, just the title.
The only connection I can make of why they used Paper Lion is the only connection I can see, and it's not why they did it, but Martha Plimpton, George Plimpton's daughter, was on an episode of Family Ties. Remember that one? Remember that one where she came in and she was stealing clothes from the store that Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we start off in the kitchen, and there's this big debacle of what Andy has been the outfits that Alex has bought Andy. So they have the Keatons say that they shop for Andy and that Alex shops for Andy. Of course, Alex is going to buy like these very yuppie, and Mallory and Jennifer want to take him out and just get him some normal clothes.
Now, let's stop right there. I feel like this is a thing that we need to examine. I feel like at this point they're just trolling us about the fact that Stephen and Elise do not take care of their kids.
Yes.
It starts with Mallory walking in the door and saying, "Can I borrow the car? I want to take Andy clothes shopping at the mall."
Not something you usually hear from your big brother.
Exactly. And
Yes.
They're spending mom and dad's money. They're not so quick to spend their teenage hard-earned cash buying clothing for their little brother.
Not in the slightest. I can't even imagine
Oh.
why or what or how, why that she looks at Andy and says, "You need clothes."
Most older brothers and sisters would rather let their siblings run around naked and filthy than take a penny out of their own pocket and spend it on their siblings.
Here, wait, pause for a second.
Yeah.
Here, wait, Scott. There's like noise
Yeah.
wherever you are. There's like a lot of
Is
like
there?
toys dropping or something.
Yeah, if you see me getting pelted with stuff, that would be Henry.
Oh, okay.
Let's pause it for 1 second. Let me get him out of the room.
Okay.
All right. Pausing for editing. There you go, bud. Oh. Okay. All right, picking back up. Paul, just say your last thing.
Okay. Well, so the next thing is that Stephen and Elise say, "Well, Mallory, we're not going to do that because Alex took Andy out clothes shopping last week." And then Stephen quickly throws in, "And we took him out too." And he says it in passing, like it's not really true. And then the next thing that happens is, so he's like, we're not gonna get more clothes for Andy. He has so much already. Jennifer comes in with Andy because she is taking care of him, which actions speak louder than words. Jennifer is the sister mom, as we can see happening. And then she comes out, and Andy is dressed in a schooner outfit. He looks like the guy from Caddyshack as he's going out on the yacht.
All I wrote down was Thurston Howell III. He's dressed as Thurston Howell III from Gilligan's Island.
Yes. And so Stephen says, all right, Mallory, Jennifer, you take him out shopping and take the clothes that Alex bought him back and get new ones. Now, here's the explanation that I see, and I'll open this up. But if Alex already took Andy shopping and got him these terrible pinstripe suits and whatnot, and Stephen and Elise actually did take him shopping and get him clothes, then he would have clothes and Mallory and Jennifer wouldn't have to take him out shopping. So Stephen was lying about the fact that they took Andy out shopping.
I think you're right.
Corey?
That makes sense.
I want them all dead.
It's pointless.
I'm sorry.
Who took him shopping?
I don't want them dead. I want this, and I want the fact that they sat around in a production meeting and seriously gave serious consideration and then did the let's dress Andy in a couple of really funny looking outfits and get big laughs on it.
Oh yeah.
And that
the
saddest exploitation of a child that you can give. You can't manipulate him into saying anything funny, so he can't write him anything verbal. He can't do anything physical. All he can do is be dragged out of the kitchen through that swinging door into the living room. That's all we can do with him. So let's schlep him into a room and put him in a Thurston Howell outfit and then put him in a Grease outfit. Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah, it really is sad.
As you're saying this, Corey, it makes me think like all of this happened in their mind because Meredith Baxter got pregnant 3 years ago. He had, I'm guessing, begrudging sex with her husband. Oh, yeah.
Begrudgingly had sex with her husband.
What a piece of shit he was.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Didn't he beat her later in life?
No, at the time.
At the time, he was still beaten. So she had sex with her a piece of shit husband, and now we're stuck with Brian Bonsall.
Well, I don't want to blame her for anything here. I'm just saying.
I don't think.
I'm just saying that in this situation, the writers, they could have just not said anything about her being pregnant. They could have just hidden it, like you do on shows, or they used to do on shows, or whatever. And but instead, we've come to this point.
And I know we've addressed this before, but I just love the fact that we are this far into season 5, and not once have they written an episode where Steven and Elise are actually parents to Andrew. Like, they're going to go do something with Andrew, or it involves them spending time with Andrew. They haven't written that once.
No, they really don't. And they look, in this episode, really nice. They look like the end of Back to the Future when George and Lorraine come in and they've been playing tennis, and they're just, like, dressed like really cool yuppies. Like the way that Elise is dressed and everything. She looks so cool. Like, having a 5th kid has been the best thing for them.
Well, they've gotten all the rest, Paul. The kids are raising Andrew, so yeah. they should be nice and fresh.
Yeah.
All right, so there's this. This is going to be the B plot for the episode is who's dressing Andy, and we get information. Alex gets a message from Steven basically saying that his professor, Dr. Rhodes, will be coming over with the final data. And apparently Alex has been working with this kind of known professor at Leland, an economics professor, on this research paper that's supposed to be a big breakthrough in economics.
While I have real issues with this A plot because we've seen it 3 or 4 times before on the show, and I have problems with the B plot because anything that involves Brian Bonsall is a problem, I would like to be the first one to say that the C plot on this show, if we want to call it that, more of a runner than a C plot, Steven's hesitance to ask questions or answer questions when people ask him a question was one of the best C plots they have ever had, and he played it beautifully. It made me laugh every single time. He underplayed it. It was written nicely. It's like, okay, here I am finding beauty in the horrendousness of this episode, but that was funny.
As you've been saying this, I've been nodding so hard I pulled my neck. It's so true. It is really one of the best things that's happened all season was this C plot.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
It made me laugh every time. I couldn't get enough of it, and it surprised me every time someone asked him a question. It's like I'd forgotten that they had done this bit before, and it entertained me every time. He underplayed it where he would ask, "You don't really want me to answer that question, do you?" And he would just underplay whatever it was. I just thought it was really delightful. It was very good.
I watched this with Carrie, and normally when I have Family Ties on and watching the show, she's usually tuning out and on Facebook and stuff, and rightfully so. And so when that part came up, when it kept repeating, she actually laughed. She's like, "That's actually really funny."
It's really funny. It's a very funny bit.
Yep.
So all of our listeners who have said for weeks, "Oh, will they stop ripping Family Ties? Will you stop ripping it? Will you say something nice?" Yeah, I'm saying something nice. It was really funny.
Yeah.
He was terrific, as he very often is. He was great.
He is. Yeah. So we very quickly after this message, because we've always talked about like the time frame that happens on Family Ties, like almost instantly after Alex gets this message that Professor Rose is going to be coming over with the final data, Professor Rose comes over with the final data. All set, ready. So I wanted to unpack this a little bit because I was trying to figure out what Alex's role in all this was, because it felt like they didn't really write a lot about how you work on a research paper. So Alex has been assisting Professor Rhodes. Coming up is bringing over the final like data that they have and breaking down his theory of economics. And Alex is either supposed to like type it up. He says to just put it under the correct subheadings, but then it also seems later he's supposed to actually analyze all the data. It was confusing.
It was very confusing, and I think it's just a product of lazy writing and lack of knowledge on the part of the writing staff, that they don't know how an academic paper being published works, so they just sort of made it up. And I'm not going to pretend on my end that I know how it works either, but I can only imagine that none of this is how it works. Like, you don't go until the 11th hour still waiting on test results to come in when you're going to be publishing in 12 hours.
Right. And you certainly don't have it like where it's all break down the final. Like, they don't, like, he's getting ready to publish this paper and he doesn't know if his theory is correct.
Yeah.
Let's just have that out there for starters.
It's pure madness.
I thought that was the most bizarre thing, was like, here, Alex, we're totally done. Just run this one calculation to see if everything we've done works.
Mm-hmm. Right. I want to make sure before I go in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird. But we also find out that, you know, they're very excited about this paper. And Alex might be up for an award as his research assistant. And Alex talks about wanting his name on the paper as well, but I mean, again, I'm just assuming, I believe if you're just an assistant on the paper, your name is going to be nowhere near it.
That's correct.
Okay.
And at a university, my experience has always been graduate students are the research assistants, not undergraduate students. Undergraduate students need to take classes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was strange too.
They're working off their tuition by assisting professors.
Right.
That's how they get a break on their tuition, is the graduate students. So it just that whole thing just didn't make a tremendous amount of sense.
No, yeah. Basically,
Alex is also extraordinarily obsessed and has been with winning awards.
Oh, we've seen it time and again.
It seems that he needs those awards to make him feel good about himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's been a, I don't know, it's been a weird trend that's been happening a lot lately. It didn't used to be a thing with the character, but now it's definitely in the past, like, 2 seasons, awards are constantly the way that the audience knows that he has, I don't know, dreams of succeeding or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of it made sense when he was in high school and wanted to be valedictorian and all that. I got that as a teenager, but now that he's in college and doing stuff, it seems really strange and kind of immature.
I mean, if I could make a parallel, like a hypothetical parallel, it would be, I don't know, it's almost like if you were, I mean, this is crazy, but if you were running for president and most of the time all you did was talk about poll numbers and how you were doing well in the poll numbers, that you're trying to quantify that you are a successful person, not by being one, or doing anything good, but you just constantly look at quantifiable results to prove to yourself and others that you're a success.
Right, because if you keep trying to pass legislation and it keeps constantly getting denied,
right,
you can say you're successful all you want, but the evidence would show otherwise.
Right, and so in a situation like that, you would then start to hold, like, feel-good rallies, where in order to do that, you would say, go to a bunch of people who support you and will cheer everything that you say to show to yourself and others how successful you are. Even though on paper, there are proof. So you start to abandon proof when you need to. And other times, proof works, like, say, a CBO report or a jobs numbers report, where it used to be fake and now it's real. It's real when you need it to be, and it's fake when you need it to be. This is all hypothetical.
I have another hypothetical. Yeah, I have another one. I have another hypothetical. It would be like if you're a business person.
Okay.
And you keep, you're a business person and you keep claiming like your businesses are really successful and how you have billions and billions of dollars. But on paper, there's like several instances of you claiming bankruptcy over and over again, showing how you've lost money.
Like hypothetically 11 times.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically.
11 is the number you selected here for your hypothetical?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. yeah.
And say hypothetically, you're so constantly trying to outrun the debts that you've accrued, and say, no banks will give you money anymore. So you start going to the Russian mob.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, I've worked with mobsters, say, hypothetically, in Queens, New York.
Yeah, hypothetically.
What's the difference with these Russian mobsters? And let's say that hypothetically, since the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia has become kind of an oligarchy.
Yeah, a little bit. Yay!
And so these mobsters are actually part of the government and intel community in Russia. So now that you've hypothetically started to get in with the mob, thinking that you're just getting involved with criminals, you're actually getting involved with the Russian intel, and you've hypothetically committed treason against the country that you're now in charge of. Hypothetically.
I'm glad it's all hypothetical.
So hypothetically, if you had already been elected president, and if you hypothetically had committed high treason and crimes against your country, then hypothetically you'd lose your job and go to jail.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
And then we'd have President Pence.
Oh, what does Mike Pence have to do with it? This is all hypothetical.
I'm sorry.
Hypothetical.
I was just waiting for him to convert me to being a Republican.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For anyone that's still listening right now, thanks for hanging around.
As we just recap the news of the last week for you.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping, because this is a couple weeks in advance that this will be released, I'm hoping that we'll seem really prescient and that Trump is in prison by now.
From your mouth, I don't think it's going to work in 2 weeks.
Not hypothetically.
In real jail.
Yeah. So guys, not hypothetically, we are later in the day and we are back at we're back in the kitchen, and Alex is looking over the data. He's crunching numbers. There's a bunch of papers wrapped up around his calculator and everything, and he looks very, very frustrated. This is also
like on a third grade adding machine too.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't have like an abacus that he was doing all the beads.
And as he's doing this, Jennifer and Mallory come back in with Andy, and I think the only note I had was, this is the scene that broke Corey.
It did. It did. Sadly enough, you know me well enough to know that I was having issues here. When he was just sitting there, just making faces at mommy or daddy, and he was just sitting there with the glasses and that's television I don't want any part of. Mm-hmm.
He couldn't even do the faces earnestly.
Honestly, I would enjoy. I hate children in show business, but I would enjoy, and coming from a teacher of children in show business.
We buried the lead. By getting rid of everyone that was listening to the show, now we actually get to the real nuts and bolts.
Yes.
Corey wants to self-sabotage.
What do I do for a living? I teach children how to be in show business. I hate children. The worst idea ever is to put a child in show business. However, if you are going to put a child in show business, don't put sunglasses on them. Sit there and make faces. It's not cute. I'm sure mommy and daddy Bonsall thought it was adorable. Everyone else in the nation thought it was a waste of fucking time. Stop it.
Yeah.
Maybe, do they ever cut the bowl cut, or does he go 3 years with that bowl cut?
No, I think it's all 3 years.
Oh, damn. You see, if they cut the bowl cut, maybe I'd feel differently about it. It's possible. I could.
It was a weird
Buzz cut,
style.
like that was kind of trendy back then.
that little boys seem to have from like the late 70s until the mid 80s. It was, what would they call it? Like a moppet?
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's like the Kid and Kramer versus Kramer had it. And,
Sure.
yeah. If you look at like different strokes, literally every kid that's friends with Willis has them. You know, it's.
Well, I was hoping you weren't referring to actually Gary Coleman and Willis, because I don't believe they could have bangs.
Well, no, yeah, exactly, no.
No. Hair does not become bangs, I believe, at any point.
No.
Yeah, so Andy's in this, like, as Corey described it perfectly, a grease jacket, looking tough, and this is what Mallory and Jennifer have picked out for him to wear, and they shopped at the Hip Toddler.
You know what, you think, now that you're saying it out loud, he's dressed like a greaser. In 1986, this would have been like 30 years old. Why are these two teenage girls dressing their brother in something that has been out of style for 30 years?
Because they love the movie Grease.
Well, yeah. That came out in like 79.
This is what.
Yeah, 79 or 80, something like that.
Oh, that's true. So there's a little bit of like a resurgence.
Yeah. You may have had the Stray Cats are popular at this point, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, the rockabilly,
but yeah.
neo rockabilly.
Yeah,
but then, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe in this world, the Keatons went to see Back to the Future. Like the whole retro 50s style thing of Back to the Future is something that the Keatons went to the local multiplex to see.
That might be it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have that, and Stephen and Elise come in, and they look at Alex all frustrated, and what we discover is Professor Rhodes's data doesn't support his hypothesis. It's all wrong. Alex has been crunching the numbers, and nothing adds up, meaning that the paper is no more. It's disputed. It doesn't add up, and Alex also won't be getting his precious award.
It's tough. It's a tough gig.
Again, it just is amazing that he's ready to publish and he hasn't even looked over his own data. So Alex is bummed out because he's going to have to go tell Professor Rhodes and break his heart, he says. And so the next scene, which I think might be one of the best set pieces we've ever seen, is Professor Rhodes's office.
It's a gorgeous office.
Very atmospheric. Lots of shadows.
Mm-hmm. It's better than the dean's office when they went to Harvard.
Yeah, it's a lot cozier. The dean's office at Harvard. No, at Princeton.
At Princeton, sorry.
At Princeton, it was just too big. It was you could get lost in that office. Whereas Professor Rhodes, he has this nice, comfy, it's, lots of wooden.
Yeah.
It seems like the perfect place to contemplate suicide, doesn't it?
I've spent 45 years teaching at Leland College.
And I've done one research paper. And I left the figures for Alex to figure out at the last minute on my economics paper.
That's the thing. They keep making at the top of the show that he's been working on this same paper for 45 years.
and left the major calculation to his assistant.
That was then proven wrong. that really should have been, if they really wanted to have a good twist for this episode, Corey, that's what they should have done. Halfway through, Alex gets news that Professor Rhodes committed suicide. The news.
And Alex has to show up at the awards and explain why Professor Rhodes blew his brains out.
I also had to say that the paper was shit. Once again, we write a better episode. So they're in this lovely cozy office, and Alex tells Professor Rhodes that he looked over the data, and nothing adds up. And Professor Rhodes, to say the least, is crushed by this, and that his frustration is that he feels like he's going to be squeezed out of this college because he's a professor that isn't getting published. He's kind of an old relic of a time, and so he's dismayed. Like his life's work is down the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just about to go to commercial, but I just want to quickly say is that all of the economic jargon that they use, talking about what's in the paper and all kinds of stuff, it's hard to, I didn't pick up on exactly what was being said, but it was a lot of like right-wing economic buzzwords were being peppered around, post-Keynesian, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that this professor is such a big fan of the market or the free market taking care of all problems, then why is he, at the same time, he's so woe is me about the fact that, like, maybe he doesn't have tenure for some reason, or that there are cultural ways or things are more important than business. It's like he's constantly railing against how business is so terrible for making professors have to publish or perish when they should be all about teaching, which is for a common good. And it's like, but you're a right-wing economics professor, asshole. Don't you see how one is the same as the other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this is the free market working.
Yeah. You suck.
Yeah.
Bye.
We found something better. This is what's demanded. Goodbye.
Yeah. So maybe you're this is why the math doesn't add up, is because the paper just says you're an asshole. And on that note, we'll be right back. And we're back. So ultimately, the professor is like, you're right, Alex. I'll throw this away or something. We'll start again. And then he calls the dean and says, everything's fine. Dun, dun, dun. It's very...
Wait, he did that very quick, Paul. He did that so quick. Like, the moment Alex closes the door, he's on the phone. Like, he doesn't even debate it. Like, no. He's just like, there's not a moment of hesitation. It's like, oh, well, fuck it. I'm just going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, back in the kitchen, do they have any more discussions about Andrew?
No, I don't think they do.
I think that's right. They're looking over the program.
That's it, the program.
The reception. Yeah, they're looking at the program for the awards reception that Alex will be emceeing. And Mallory's reading out who's going to be speaking, and Professor Rhodes' name is on there. The paper that he wrote is on there, and Alex is shocked.
I was shocked that Alex was drinking orange juice. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, the numbers are wrong. He can't go up and speak. And so Alex goes to Professor Rhodes back at his nice, comfy office. And that's where Professor Rhodes kind of tells him the harsh reality of being a college professor, that this is what he this is what he had to do. And Alex is, yeah.
My big problem with this, which is my problem with this episode, is that Alex, of all the people we've met over the last 5 years and 11 episodes, for Alex to take the high moral and ethical ground is bizarre, because Alex has been unethical and immoral so many times over in this show that for him to find anyone who he has higher status than, that he can take a high moral ground, is ludicrous.
That's very true. Do you think it would be more interesting if he took the argument that I was saying before about just like, well, you should be better at it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so much more true to Alex's character.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
You deserve this. We should do this together. We should be in this together.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, instead he has this like very, you're the reason I'm here. You're my idol. I can't believe you're doing this, you know. And it did feel strange. It did feel really out of character for him. And so we cut to the award ceremony. When the Keatons are bored. Alex is downhearted. Again, he keeps bringing up the award that he's not going to get. Even much so to the point where when it's time for him to give the award, he says his name.
Yeah, that was very La La Land.
I'm glad you said that, Paul. I was thinking the same thing.
There was an interesting thing that was going on, a bit of business that I thought was weird and interesting. When we first see the Keatons, and it's Stephen, Elise, and Mallory, and the three of them are sitting there bored to tears. Stephen has a spoon in his glass of water for no reason. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Michael goes like, I need some business to do, so
yeah,
I'm just gonna stir this like it's tea.
I'm gonna start doing that when I'm bored, stirring water with a spoon.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's the award. So Alex says his own name, and then the host of the evening comes in and corrects him.
And it went to Eve Kimball.
Eve Kimball.
Now let's talk Eve for a second. She's really cute. That's all. I just think she's really cute. I thought she was.
There was something that reminded me of her about Reese Witherspoon.
Yes, there was definitely a quality about that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Hold on for a second, guys. Let me pause. Ready? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Henry's in the room.
Oh,
just moving. Come on in. Hold on one sec. Hold on, Mama wants you. Mama wants you. Mama. No, yes, she does. Mommy wants you. Mama wants to see. Hey, sweetie, can you call him? Almost done. That's his thing now. No, she doesn't.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Let me plug this back in here. Actually. Okay. Picking back up. And yeah, she did. She really did look like Reese Witherspoon a little bit. And Alex doesn't let her speak at all.
No, and honestly, I stopped taking notes at this point. What did she win for? Do you guys know?
Don't have any idea.
I don't have any idea either. I don't.
Hey, if you're listening right now, if you've gotten this far, write at us and let us know. What do you think that Eve Kimball won for?
Be sure to tweet us at QTWFT. Just let us know. So now the big moment happens. Professor Rhodes is about to come up and give his presentation for a paper that is completely invalid. But what does he do instead? He is touched by Alex's introduction and says that he was going to lie about the validity of the paper, and has this heartfelt speech about the importance of teaching, and that's what he's there for.
I mean, if you're the dean and you hear him say that he was about to lie,
yeah,
you'd probably fire him, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But this is a terminable offense. Yes.
Yeah, like if he were smarter, Professor Rhodes would have said, thank you so much, Alex. I was going to do this presentation, but it turns out at the last second we just realized that everything was wrong. Well, I'm so sorry. Why would you admit to lying?
Yeah. Admit.
It's like, hypothetically, if you're the president who lies all the time, the worst thing you could do is admit to ever lying.
Right.
When one domino falls, the others quickly follow.
Exactly. So yeah, Professor Rose would be fired by this point.
Yeah.
ceremony, the dean would be having some words with him.
And so he comes off the dais or whatever, and he and Alex take a picture together, or they talk out their love for each other, because that's something we haven't discussed this whole time. There's like a D plot or an ongoing joke where Alex keeps hugging Professor Rhodes.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't want to be hugged.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Right.
Could have done without that.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Yeah, it just didn't play. It just didn't play. And that's it. That really is it.
Yeah, there's not a lot to it. The other good thing I'll say about this episode, guys, do you agree or disagree? At least this episode makes sense from moment to moment.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
well delineated.
Yes, I agree. It did not, once again, falls into the classification of mediocre episodes, not horrible episodes, not enraging episodes. Episode that doesn't, while it has fundamental mistakes, it doesn't have a fundamental mistake in minute 1 that screws up the whole the house of cards, the fragile house of cards that they build.
Exactly. It's not like the last 2 episodes. This one makes sense start to finish.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys. Well, that is episode 11 for us. And for questions and comments, be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Qtwft for updates. Each of us is on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We would like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily insights, reviews to the geek pop culture spectrum, and also supporting independent comic creators. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song Without Us. Be sure to check out Perry's music at perryadams.com. We like to thank Brian Dillon, Fanbase Press's co-president. He is also on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer and edits our show. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Sha-la-la-la.